It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast, your 20-minute boost to reclaim and refocus your energy. Get ready to have bursts of clarity, a boost of confidence, and the practical steps you need to make gutsy moves forward. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. You get an idea, a nudge or a pull towards something. You start to lean into the possibility, like maybe I could do this. And then good old hesitation kicks in. That pullback moment that lets all of your fears and worries flood in and take over. And before you know it, that idea that once excited you becomes a distant wish, a desire that sits on your mantle and collects dust. But you know something? Even though it's sitting over there, it's still taking up space in your mind. On today's Powerback episode, we're talking about what to do in that moment of hesitation so that your ideas gain momentum, not dust. Look, if you're tired of talking yourself out of the things that you really want to do, this episode is for you. Okay, first things first, we have to acknowledge the fact that hesitation can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Because hesitation sometimes is our body's way of saying, hey, pause, we need to reevaluate this. Maybe this is not the right way to go. And sometimes it's, hey, I'm afraid to do this thing. I'm worried about doing this thing, but I really want to do this thing. And that kind of messy in between is a really important space to learn your body, to learn your body's language, what it says when it's a yes versus a no. How does this feel in your body? I've done lots of episodes and talked a lot about trusting yourself through bricks or butterflies, knowing the difference between your body's way of saying, yep, let's do this. I'm nervous. I kind of want to puke, but let's go. Versus your body's way of saying, no, turn around. This is like putting your hand on a hot stove. What are you doing? So getting to know your body's yes versus your body's no is really important. I'm going to lead today's conversation with the baseline that you're checking yourself and it's still a yes. There's nervousness. You're a little worried. Fears definitely are popping up, but man, there's a draw. There is a pull. You keep coming back to it. Even if you try and silence it, it circles its way back around. And this could be an idea that you have, a change that you want to make, something new that you want to implement. Like whatever this thing is, it's a yes. You know, deep down, even when your brain gets noisy and complicated and turns into a turd, there's a part of you that knows that there's something in this for you. One of the ways that I can tell with both myself and the women that I work with, when something is really for them, when there's something in it, there's something important. This is like, there's a right next step in this. That fucker keeps circling. I don't care how many times you try to dismiss it or put it away. It just keeps creeping its way back in. And it creeps its way back in sometimes the most like ridiculous or unexpected ways or times, like waking up in the middle of the night thinking about it. You'll be in the middle of doing your work and it pops in. You see something out in the world that reminds you of it, right? Like it just keeps poking its head back up because it's like, are you ready? Hey, you know me? Hey, you remember this thing? And so just take that as an extra cue that there's probably something in this for you. If it keeps circling, it keeps popping its head back up. It's like a little mole that's reminding you, hey, I'm here and I exist. There's probably something that you are ready to do with this. I recently had this happen with something that had nothing to do with business, 100% life, a concert. Okay. I love some live music. I don't know if I've ever told you that before. I love live music. I love in-person experiences, and I'm a metal girl. Okay. Like when I'm working, whether that's working on the computer, I'm getting things done, or I'm working out, chances are I'm listening to heavy metal. Korn, Godsmack, Shinedown, Disturbed, Rob Zombie, love them. I've also recently discovered Sleep Token and Bad Omens. Look, that is the power of TikTok. You can discover things that you didn't even know existed. I've really taken to Bad Omens, okay? My sister originally introduced me to them. I started listening to them. They kept popping up in my feed. Before I know it, they're on my playlist. And now I'm thinking about seeing them in concert. So my sister sends me the link. They're going to be 90 minutes from us. Okay. Fantastic. Let's do it. I pull up the calendar. I'm out of town that weekend. It was an immediate like wah wah situation because like, damn, they're going to be right here. This is a perfect venue. We could make a day of it. It would be awesome. And I'm not even going to be in the state. So we kind of wrote it off like, shit, well, I guess we're not going to be able to go. A couple weeks go by, and I'm listening to them and I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like, I'd really love to see them. And then I'm laying in bed one morning, scrolling TikTok for far longer than I probably needed to be. But you know what? It felt good and I'm okay with that. And I keep getting on the Bad Omens thread, right? Like they're popping up and I'm reading their story and I'm listening to their music and I'm seeing them in past concerts. And I'm like, I wonder where else they're going to be. This is that kind of curiosity. That circle back moment where it's peeking its head up. And I'm like, I wonder. So I pull up their website and I look at where they're going to be. And it's like, oh gosh, these are hours, like many hours away. And then I see they're going to be in Newark, New Jersey. I've never been to Newark, but from my many, 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 many trips to New York City, I know that Newark is the last stop on Amtrak before you get into the city. I've taken that train, I don't even know how many bajillions of times at this point. And I'm like, you know what? We could take the train. We wouldn't even have to drive there. It could just drop us off in Newark and we could walk to the venue. So now I'm sitting up in bed. Okay. Now my wheels are turning. All the information's starting to come in and I look up how long it's going to take and roughly how much the tickets are going to be. And I start kind of thinking about like, is this possible? And you know something? It is. It is possible. And then, wouldn't you know, that moment of hesitation kicks in. I'm thinking, I should see if my sister would want to do this. I feel pretty certain that she would, but should I ask her? Do I want to do this? Is this the right next step? Oh, who travels 4.5 hours on a Tuesday to see a band? Notice all these thoughts kicking in, right? It's that hesitation that's flooding the fears and the worries and the concerns and the what ifs and all this gunk. And I've completely stripped away the fact that, hey, this is fucking possible. I don't need to have it all figured out right now, but I have concrete proof that this could work. And as my brain started to get real chaotic, I just stopped and I was like, what do I actually really want to do? Like, if I just put all that shit aside for a second, what would I want to do in this situation? And I thought, Laura, you have intentionally built a life and a business so that you could have flexibility, so that you could have freedom, so that you can have experiences. You and your sister have never done this before. This would be a really great outing together. You love live music. You love this band. Like, I'm starting to find it difficult to talk myself out of this. So I asked myself the question again, what do you actually want to do, Laura? And I was like, I really want to see this band with my sister. And that was all it took. And it's in that split second that you've got to move. I instantly opened up Snapchat. I sent her a video. I was like, hear me out. This is the possibility. It's not out of the question. Yes, it's going to take a little bit more time. And yes, it's going to take a little bit more money, but we can make this fucking happen if you want to. I hit send. I closed my app. And I laid down and immediately it was like, oh no, what if we do this? Like, how are we going to do this? And I was like, you know what? We don't need to think about any of that right now. We just have to trust that whatever's meant to be is going to be. Within a few minutes, I got a very excited response that was like, hell yes. What do we need to do? Let's make this happen. And about 12 minutes later, I had tickets to see Bad Omens in Newark, New Jersey. We just went to that concert last week, and I can tell you that I have zero regrets. It was one of the best experiences that I've had in a long time. I got to guide my sister through her first train ride. We went to our first concert together ever. This was our first sisters trip that we've ever taken together. We tried new foods. We laughed at shit. We've got a handful of new inside jokes. We had an absolute blast at the concert. We've got some merch. And you know what? The next morning, we were 20 minutes away from New York City, right? Like, it's literally the last stop before you get into the city. And I was like, we should just go spend a couple hours in New York City. And she's like, hell yeah, we should. So we took a 20-minute train ride and we walked around the city for like 5 or 6 hours and we explored things. And I showed her stuff that, that we had seen before that she had never seen. We had lunch together. Then we grabbed food for the train ride home. And you know what? It was phenomenal. We had so much fun. We created so many memories. We deeply enjoyed one of our favorite bands together. And now they're memories that no one can take away from us. We almost missed out on all of that because of a moment of hesitation. Hesitation loves to show up when you are on the verge of doing something new, something out of the ordinary, something that is not in your normal path. When you're on the verge of a breakthrough, it's not coming here to stop you. It's coming here to help you evaluate. It shows up because your brain's not familiar with this. I don't typically drive or travel 4.5 hours on a Tuesday, go to a concert, go to the city the next morning, and then come home. Like, that's just not my brain and my body's natural pattern. So the hesitation pops up because there's some orchestration, and yes, there's some money involved and there's some time involved. And it's like, do we really want this? And that's why it's so important to stop and ask yourself, what do I actually want? Because instead of the hesitation talking you out of it, missing the moments, creating regret, keeping you spinning in the space of what if, or wondering or replaying the potential options that never happened, instead of all that bullshit, you sit in the discomfort for a second and you lean in with gutsy. This is where you are consciously choosing what you want. You're leaning in. And do you know what gutsy creates? It creates the moments that you then tell stories about later. Gutsy creates your next success story. It creates your breakthrough moment. It provides information or connection. It gives you your next step. Look, I don't make this shit up. Gutsy makes shit happen. And does it always work out perfectly? No. But even in those moments and instances, you are gaining information. You are learning. You're putting tools in your toolkit. Look, talking yourself out of the things that you want to do is exhausting. I see it all the time. This is actually something that we really dig into inside of LauraAura. These women are brilliant. They are driven. They have things that they really want to do, and they are tired of talking themselves out of that thing. They're not stuck. They're right on the edge, which sometimes feels like stuckness because it gets a little overwhelming and the brain gets noisy. They're caught in their head, and that's the bottleneck. So one of the things that we're identifying is, where are you holding back? Where are you diluting yourself or your message or the things that you actually truly want to do? For one of the gals inside of LauraAura, it's bringing her woo into the corporate space. So she's a speaker and facilitator, and she's putting together a workshop right now, really rooted in herself, her message, and how she wants to guide these people. And there's a big part of her that is grounded in her spiritual practice, in the woo, in Reiki, in energy work. She comes from a corporate background where things were expected to look, sound, and feel a certain way. And now that she's out on her own, some of that is carrying forward. These are old habits. These are old beliefs, things that have been deeply ingrained in her and how she should show up. So we're undoing those things. I'm helping her unlearn this process by honoring herself. So building this workshop, she's like, okay, I've got the bones. I've got everything. I feel pretty good about it. And I could feel her hesitation. And I was like, what's going on there? And she was like, it's the woo. I don't really have any of that in here. And I feel like I want to put it in there, but I'm afraid to put it in there. And I said, that's exactly what is next then. I want you to go back through your workshop and infuse in the parts of you that you are currently watering down, hiding, or filtering because you feel like you're not allowed to do this. And then I said to her, what if, hear me out, that is the information that sets you apart? What if that is the information that those people truly need? What if that is where the transformations happen and you get rebooked or you get referred more? See, we put a lot of weight on the things that could go wrong, but what if we put the weight on the risk of not doing this? I'm like, do you want to be like every other speaker and facilitator? Or do you want to be you in this space and make a name for yourself and show up in the work that resonates and just exudes out of every ounce of your body effortlessly? And she's like, yeah, you're right. So you know what she's doing? She's going back through her workshop and she is infusing the woo. She's going to make a name for herself in this industry as herself. not as a carbon copy of somebody else, not by following the corporate rules that were instilled upon her, but by embracing the parts of her that are real, that are gritty, that are true, that are unique. But you can see how quickly and easily that little moment of hesitation could change the entire trajectory. Now, let's say if she ignored that. Okay, let's say if she's like, nope, I'm not ready to do that. Nope, I don't want to do that. I'm not allowed to do that. Insert whatever reason. What would probably happen is she would build out the workshop. She would give it a time or two. It would not feel good in her body. She probably wouldn't land it in a way that she felt good about it. The people in the audience would receive it well. They would have good information because she's a great facilitator at her core. But she would not feel satisfied. She would leave each speaking engagement or each workshop feeling like I could have given them more. There was a part of me that I held back. There was something that I wanted to give that I didn't, and she would never feel satisfied. Now listen, putting yourself out there, changing the rules, doing things differently, yeah, I get it. It's terrifying. It's gutsy for a reason. But when you lean in and you go for it, you strengthen the muscle of comfort. You show yourself that it's possible, and you influence others to change things their own way too. But when you ignore it, when you go against it, when you believe in that flood of hesitation that comes in, that regret, feeling like you're underperforming, feeling like you're missing out on something that really truly belongs to you, that shit is ever evolving. It grows, and it will not go away unless you choose to do something about it. So is it uncomfortable for her to infuse the woo into her corporate lingo? Yeah, it is. But it's way more uncomfortable and actually, dare I say, painful for her to hold back the parts of her that are the truest. If that's resonating with you, or you're like, you know what, I want movement, not more thinking. I really want to get this thing in motion. I just need help seeing what I can't see. I'm too close to this fucking thing. If you just help me, I will do the work. Then let's talk. Okay, shoot me a DM. Let's hop on a clarity session, or you can go to LauraAura.com/mastermind to learn more about joining AuraLine. I want to leave you with this today. What do we do in those moments of hesitation? When that flood comes in, when you're feeling overwhelmed? These are 3 questions that you can ask yourself. And I'm giving you 3 because the situations are different. Choosing to go to a concert is very different than making a decision in business. But regardless of the situation or what you are bumping up against, one or maybe all of these questions are going to help you to get over that hump and get into action. The first is a very important question that you can use, I think, in everything. And that is, what do I actually want? Gosh, this is one of the most powerful, underrated questions of all time. And something really important that I want you to know here, friend, you got to be honest with yourself. I'm not saying you got to do it tomorrow. I'm not saying you need to have it all figured out. I'm saying you got to be honest with yourself, because if you lie to yourself with this question, you're going to go down a squirrely path and learn a bunch of lessons that you probably don't want to, or at least not in the way that you want to. Okay. So what do I actually want? When those thoughts creep in, when that flood starts rolling your way, when all those thoughts are taking you on wild goose chases, okay, just interrupt it. Sit up, stand up, clap, jump up and down if you can. What do I actually want? And then answer it honestly. The next question that you can ask yourself is, what would feel most like me? This is one of the questions that I'm having the gal in AuraLine go back through and say, what would feel most like me? Where am I missing in this thing? Where do I want to infuse more of me? Where do I want to express myself more? This tends to be in the little pockets where we are filtering ourselves, pulling ourselves back, diluting our message or the way that we show up or the way that we look or the way that we speak. What would feel most like me? And again, I know it's scary. I know it can be nerve-wracking to put yourself out there, especially in a room or a situation where people are not used to that. But you are not here to make other people comfortable. You were brought here to be you. And when you are you, you have your greatest impact. There's a ripple effect. You inspire other people to do more of that for themselves. You're here to live a life and to grow a business that works for you, not makes everyone around you more comfortable. So is it going to be uncomfy for a second? Yep. And you know what? It's this moment When you catch that hesitation, you lean in, you get curious, and you choose gutsy over fear, that things start to work in your favor in a whole new way. Now, the third and last question that you can ask yourself in that moment of hesitation is, what would get me closer to my goal? This kind of pairs with question 1, which is, what do I actually want? We're working on and towards something. Sometimes we've got these little kind of benchmarks along the way, these milestone moments where we have to stop and evaluate. And so if you're on a journey where you are making decisions that get you closer to that goal, what's that thing that's going to help do that? What is the decision that you need to make? What is the movement that you need to make? What is the right next step? The one next step that's going to get you closer to your goal. And it's at this point, there is no magic wand. Nobody is coming in to do this for you, but this is the moment when you have to decide, when you're going to sit up on the side of your bed and choose to send the message, when you're going to get on and order the concert tickets and figure the rest out later, when you're going to go back through your workshop and infuse more of your own language. The results that you want are on the other side of your willingness to move. And you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to be honest with yourself and to make that next move. Hesitation at its core is not a bad thing. What you do with it, though, absolutely dictates what comes next. If you have built your business to a certain point and you know that it's time to level up, to dodge, to pivot, you're ready for that next level of growth, and you're like, I want to do this my way this time, you can really feel that you are on the verge of something incredible. You just haven't stepped into it yet. AuraLine is the room where your next level gets built. Go to LauraAura.com/mastermind to learn more or apply today. And if we're not already friends on social media, what are we doing? Come find me. My handle is @thatLauraAura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.